Okay, good evening all, and a happy new year. So today, as he said, it's a continuing session. So we have covered a lot of tools in 2013, but it that was an overview. But this session is more on implementation part. So you will get more from this. So front-end workflow redefined. So this is a topic summary. First, we will discuss about the front-end issues, front development issues that we are facing, and secondly, we will discuss about the solutions, some solutions, and we will discuss project architecture and guidelines, debugging methods that's particular to this workflow, and environment setup, how we can set up the same environment in your company or uh, anywhere. Okay, life of a front-end developer. Uh, Front-end line is complex. Are you able to hear, right? Front-end line is complex. Why? Now it's more than just CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, right? How many front-end developers are here? Oh, okay, cool. Um, so everyone agrees with that point, I guess. Why? Because each project is different. How? We have responsive designs now. We have dynamic sites now. We have desktop applications that can be built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? We have SPAs and this client-side MVCs and everything. So that creates a complex environment for front-end developer. That's why each project is different. Thus, technology stack for each project is different. So in some projects we will use Angular, in some projects we will use Backbone, in some projects we will use Bootstrap or Pure or any other CSS frameworks. So the stack is different for each project, right? That's also make our world different or difficult. And we also supporting different backend technologies, right? In an agency, if you are from an agency, probably you know, because we have to support PHP developers sometimes. We have to support .NET developers sometimes, Java developers. So we probably dealing with different backend technologies. So that also make our work difficult. Performance. Sorry, keeping standards. The standards like performance, SEO, accessibility, we need to take care of these kind of technologies while we are developing our HTML, right? Especially this SEO and usability things. So apart from that, we have to take care of other set of issues like outdated code or different knowledge levels, uh, browser compatibility, design compatibility. This kind of things also we have to take care. So all this makes our land bit complex, right? So how? What's the solution? So our issue list is almost over, but what's the solution? So here, tooling help us to automate and different tasks. So automation plus standardization and the guidelines will help us to out from this dilemma. So workflow flow tools. We'll discuss few tools here. It's an overview. So workflow tools like Yeomen, branch, middleman. These kind of tools will help us to uh, deal with our tasks, right? That will help to automate our tasks. And project dependency management. As I said, each project is different. So it is the technology stack we are using is different. In some project we are using uh, jQuery. In some project we are using Angular. So managing this dependency is a bit difficult. The versions is different in different project. That kind of stuff we can deal with dependency management system, either using BOR or NPM. So these are the tools we have to isolate these issues. So how we can set up an environment? That's the question. So these are the tools which we need to install to begin our front-end development workflow. We have to install Node, Ruby. If you are using SCSS, then you have to install your Ruby. And Ruby installer.org, that's for Windows system. You can directly install from MSI. And you can install SCSS, Yeomen, Bower, Gulp. They're all NPM packages. So you can install using NPM install. And for version management, we recommend Git. So we set up our environment. After installing all these tools, we can start working on this. So project initialization. The next part is project initialization. That's also a difficult process. Why? Because each project is different. So as I told, each stack is different. So each time you develop a project or you start a project, you have to download all these packages. You have to install all these things like that. That is a difficult process. It's most time-consuming process in the development process, I guess. So we can simplify this process using Yeomen generator or npm install or git checkout. You can directly download the predefined configuration files and your build files from a repository, and you can install it. It's our particular setup. So in this case, we are using Gulp starter kit, web starter kit from Google, and Gulp for project automation, JADE and SCSS, and Browserify for creating components. We will check in next slides. And this task automation. As a front-end developer, we have to do many tasks, like we have to link the code to ensure our code quality. We have to minify our CSS or concatenate our CSS to make sure that it performs well. We have to compile. If you are using any pre-compilers, then we have to compile and watch the processes. We have to optimize the images. So this kind of task can be automated using this Gulp or Grunt, using these workflow tools, basically. So I will do a small demo on how to initialize the project, so you will get a better idea. Okay, I have already set up a boilerplate. Actually, this boilerplate is developed with the same technology like Google WebKit, SCSS, and JADE. So we can directly clone this thing, and you can start your project. This is how you can initialize the project. Suppose. By cloning that repository, you will get the files that required to start your project, and from here you have to install the dependencies using npm. Okay, once I install this dependency, you can directly fire up the browser by using gulp survey, that command. So it will take some time to install. Let it install. get back to it. So this is how we initialize the project. There are another methods too. You can use Yeomen generators. Um, So as I told, each technology stack is different. So there are tons of generators available. The first one is Angular for bootstrapping an Angular project. So you can easily install this generator and using your Angular, you can bootstrap the project, a Angular project. That's a base idea. Okay. Also, if you are developing a web app, you can use Gulp web app or a Grunt web app, or just web app. So WebGen, this is a generator that we created for us. It's the same thing what we done using uh, Git checkout. The same repository files you will get in your project folder. Okay. So these are generators. So you can use generator or npm install. Another method is npm install. With these three methods, you can initialize the project. So it will save a lot of time. Within seconds, I bootstrap the project. Usually we have to download and install everything. That kind of burden is not there. So next thing is project architecture. Okay, now you bootstrap your project. Okay, all your files are there. You are installing your dependencies. So next one is what is the structure of that folder, or what's the structure of that project. And one thing I want to mention, this particular workflow that we implemented for web sites or dynamic sites or whatever sites, it's single page app, then probably the workflow is different. Okay, if it's if if you are developing a bootstrap, if you are developing a client-side MVC application, then the thing is different. So it's basically for websites. So I would like to, before going to next slides, I will show some uh, technologies that we used, and I will introduce to that technologies. JADE. Instead of HTML, we are using JADE because it's a templating engine, and it has many capabilities like mixins, includes, conditional, extends, etc. So that we are making use of that technologies, and we are using SCSS instead of CSS. It also has this kind of functionalities, like we can use mixins, we can use variables, we can use functions, etc. So, and for JavaScript, we are using, it's not alternative to JavaScript, like CoffeeScript, or it's not compiled, but it provide a way to modularize your code using common JS specification. So we are using Browserify. I will show you the demo of all these three technologies. Okay. As you can see, this code is compiled to JavaScript. Sorry, HTML. So uh, we don't have to write this opening tag, closing tag, angular brackets, and all those things. We can just use tags, pair tags like body, h1, h2, and for classes we can directly use like in CSS dot class name, and it will directly convert it into HTML. So it has many features like cases, comments, conditionals. You can write if condition inside this templating language. So if user is this, then you can do things like this. And tags, as mentioned, tags for listing, you just need to write this much. It will convert to this. So at any given point of time, we are dealing with a small amount of HTML or tags. We can include things like this. If you include this head.jade, then this head.jade will compile and include in our final HTML. So we can make modules from our HTML, or we can extend our templates. This is index.jade, and we are extending this layout in this index. So this kind of stuff we can do with Jade. Okay, in the case of HTML, and this SCSS or SASS that probably you most of them know what is SASS. It also has this kind of features like we can include once. Okay, we can nest rules. Okay, inside a CSS declaration we can write another one, and it will compile into correct form. Nest rule we can use if condition. We can use comments like this. So this kind of things we can do with SCSS also. And Browserify. This for JavaScript. If you ever used Node, then you probably know how to require a module. The same way you can require or client-side modules too. We can create JavaScript modules using this Browserify, means common.js format, and we can include that modules in our project. Okay, so I will tell an example. Okay, this unique. This unique is a module, and you are requiring it, and you are using it like this. So the whole logic behind this unique is inside that module. So we can create modules like that. And finally, we compile that module into a single file. So if we have 10 modules, then finally at compilation time it will compile into a single file that we can use in our project. Okay, these are the three technologies we are using. Any doubts on these three things? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get that. Okay.
Is there complete support for it?
For what? These three technologies?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course.
I see Nodejs is a new thing, right? Like comparatively.
Node.js?
Node.js, if we want to have or find something, it's like it takes time to find the new things or anything we want to do. Like in AngularJS also, there are many ways. Like we don't find easy solutions. We have to dig a bit. So like that, is it supported by many communities or like that?
Yeah, this JADE Browserify, they're well supported actually. It's if you are know Recur.js, then it's the same thing, but that based on AMD, a different specification. That's a difference. So these two technologies are well supported. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so basically we use these technologies to create component-based development. Okay. So in case of templates, we are dealing with different kind of templates, and the number is huge actually. So we use a divide and assemble method. So first we have to check how to divide our template. We'll have master page that includes all the components necessary for the whole site, and basically it's a header and footer. And second thing is page layout. Page layouts means the grid system, the uh, grid system that holds the component. Okay, and third thing is component. If you are from that .NET background, then you may know this same thing actually. The template, as I said, the master page contains that red part, the header and the footer part, and page layout contain that yellow part. That's basically the grid system. It, it's a container, and the bordered thing, that's the actual component. You can use mix and match that component because it is detachable. Okay. So how we divide this thing? Um, you can you see this thing? The code? Okay. The top part is the master page. So we are using, as I said, we are using JADE. So basically the head body section is there, and it includes that header and footer part. Okay. And the next part, here is the page layout. We are extending the master page here. Basically, this part will include in the block body section. Okay, and the third part is the actual page. Inside that page, we are including the components. Here we are including breadcrumb, utilities, summary component, widget, carousel, etc. So, so we are finally, when the output comes, the whole thing will be compiled into HTML, and we'll get the final output. So we are using the mentioned technologies. So this is how a component look like. Uh, a browser physician, it's a component, and we'll use SCSS, JADE, and JS. This will ultimately compiled into a component, and we includes this component like this. Okay, include that component. Uh, so we divided our CSS, actually CSS, into many different areas. This configuration holds all the generic definitions like color, font, etc. And Legos. Legos we are using for the generic styles and styling the sideward elements. And our main styles holds all these things, and it will compile into main.css. And we also have a responsive CSS, all our responsive media queries, and everything will go into that. And our script arrangement is like this. We have a common JS there that includes all the site-wide JavaScript files, and main.js that holds or it used to initialize components. That we'll check. Okay, benefits. Before benefits, I will dive into a demo. Okay. once installed, you can use Gulp survey to initialize the project. Means to fire up the browser. Okay, it will start a static server like this, and you can see the language folder and the actual HTML files. So, said that I think is so. The all these things are compiled HTML file. So we'll check the source code. This is that page. That page compile to 40. Um, this thing. This much code is generated from that single file. So how it works? We include this page layout, space around this page layout, and we are including these components. So when you check this breadcrumb component, inside this component, you can see breadcrumb, and it's CSS. Sorry, JADE file, and it's SCSS file. These two things will included means included in that HTML file, compiled into this HTML file. So you get the basic idea how we create this component, and ultimately we creating this HTML. Okay, so in case of JavaScript, we have to create modules like this, module exports. This is a common JS standard, and once you create this module, you can uh, include it like this. It's a tab module, but still it's the same thing. Require that module name, and this is evoking this function. This if you are saving in a variable, and you can also uh, invoke that function. But here it's evoking immediately. That's the difference. So this is how the parts work. Any doubts on this section? It's actually implementation. So if you have any doubt, I can clear it. The main benefit of this is we'll have a master page that contain the header and footer, and we'll have many page layouts, right? There was one site may contain 5 or 6 page layouts max, or a landing page has a page layout, detail page has a page layout. That page layout repeats in many sections, right? So we can create that page layouts here. It's like this. So these are the page layouts, and we are including the components inside that blocks. Okay. So,
Even one question.
yeah.
Is that the component is available or we have to write?
We have to write. We can reuse the components because
Okay, so for example, a breadcrumb is that downloadable or you have written?
we have write that thing because this component we can reuse in other projects, but it's not in the wild now. It's only in our workflow. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Jade is completely new for me. But
Yeah.
what we used to do was, again, you still need a server to show the HTML pages, right?
Ah, yeah.
Everything,
Yes.
right? What we used to do was we used to create PHP pages. So header PHP, body
Ah, yes.
PHP, footer PHP, and do the same includes as what you have done here,
Yes.
but except for Jade. So it would be PHP include versus a Jade include.
Yeah. But
The advantage, you can tell me the
yeah,
disadvantage of
sure,
this
sure, sure.
approach. The advantage that I see is I don't really have to worry what is the equivalent HTML of a Jade syntax, right? So Jade syntax is something, the spit out version of Jade is something. And whereas in PHP, if I just write HTML, it would just spit out as it is, right? I don't have to really worry about that conversion coming into picture. Because Java, it's not possible, right? Because we have to write sys out statements. PHP, you just write plain HTML, it spits out HTML in the same format.
Yeah.
So for me, why would Jade be so relevant for me?
Jade, right?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing is, you don't have to worry about this closing tags. In PHP, you are writing the same HTML, and you can, right? Say you're writing HTML,
It
right?
is exactly the same. What I would do is I would just take doc type all the way till head in header.php and body all the
Here,
way to
right?
body.
This.
Correct. That would be in
Okay.
multiple body.php.
Okay, but you can write like this, right?
No, no, I understand this part. My question is the approach that I have now with using PHP and the approach that I have with Jade. Why is the PHP approach a disadvantage for me than using the Jade approach?
The thing is same. Actually, what the outcome is same, but still, you have to write like this, right? You have to write.
But do you know the comfortable is I am more convenient writing this because let's say I have body.
Okay,
Let's say
that's
bootstrap class is equal to call MD6.
yeah. That's
I am
actually
better writing the class inside my HTML rather than leveraging to Jade. Jade give a default class of call MD6 for body tags.
see. This is less code. Okay, first of all, we will get better understanding of what's happening, and we don't have to worry about closing tags. That in PHP, if you write the plain HTML, uh, once the page is big, huge, then it is very difficult to find this closing tag issues and errors. Okay, this is so clean. And third thing is I don't think so you can extend PHP like this. You can extend multiple things like this, and you can include, but you can extend. There is a difference. See, in PHP, you just include that part, and it compiles, and you get the output. Here, you can write. See, these are blocks, and you can from wherever you can include blocks. See, one second. See, this block call one. We are under this block call one. We are including all these components, and this block call one is here. So under a block call one, you can add as much as components. That's possible using PHP, but you have to write some logic. Means other things to do the same thing.
I think
Okay.
we have to use less code. We have to write less code than.
But yeah, yes, it's right.
For this project,
That's an advantage.
Once we do the backend integration, then we cannot go back to the Jade
Yeah,
format.
that's a problem. That's a biggest problem, and we will come into that point later. Okay. Oops. Okay. So the demo, and we have to the guidelines. Okay. Once we implemented this system, each developer has its own style of coding and everything. It is very difficult uh, for in a big project, sorry, to have multiple people and with multiple development standards. So we have to ensure a common standard in our organization. So there are tons of available guidelines are there, like web components, SMACSS, BEM, atomic design, and many more. So we are using SMACSS and BEM. Actually, a kind of variation is there in the what we have implemented. So SMACSS, I will tell something about SMACSS first. In SMACSS, it tells how to organize the files: base rules, layouts, module, state rules, and theme rules. This is how SMACSS defines to organize our CSS. The base style contain the basic style. It's like normalize and reset.css. It's same thing. It contains the base styles. And layout declaration. Layout declaration, what I mentioned, like page layouts. Instead that page layout, we can uh, use the grid style, uh, header, article, footer. That kind of layout will be under this layout style. And in module example, that's where this components comes. We can implement that style. The module styles in module example. Okay, and it has two more things like state and theming sections. And its state update like is collapsed, is error, like that. That kind of things will be in our state. And module theming styles will be on theme styles. This is how the SMACSS define this project structure, CSS project structure. And there is one more thing is the BEM. It defines how to create modules and how to name it. Here, this is an example. It's a search block, and here we have search elements. So all elements will name, like first of all the block will be have a search class, and we are extending that we are not extending, we are naming the elements like search double underscore and that element name. This is how it defines the naming. In the case of input, search double underscore and input, and search button same way. So if one another element is there, then we will do the same thing. Search double underscore and button. If suppose in this example we have a different button style, right? And we are using a modifier to modify that color, and we indicate it as double hyphen and that modifier. So this is how BEM defines the naming or block and naming. You can modify the block itself using that modifier. You got what I mean? This it's a naming convention and component guidelines from BEM. Okay. So adapt a generic guideline or use our own within our organization. So debug with style. Okay, this debugging techniques are related to this particular workflow. There are tons of other debugging things. We are not covering this thing. So just it's related to this thing, this particular workflow. Source map. Since we are using SCSS, debugging is very difficult because we are dealing with compiled source code, right? Or minified source code. So debugging that minified source code is very difficult. We won't get the accurate place where we write the actual thing. So source map come to rescue. This is how the source map look like. There's a main.css. That's this is that file. It's a compiled output of all these component and everything. and there is a mapping in this source map. Okay, there's a mapping in this source map, and we can directly get the accurate place or where we define that our classes and properties. So in order to adding this source map, we have to add a script.js map. Okay, and in case of CSS, we have to use a CSS map. We can generate it using tools, and we also need to enable our source map in Chrome Dev Toolbar. In case of Firefox, we have to enable the source original resources. Okay. Once we do all those things, we will get the actual source code in our Dev Toolbar. That's source map. So Dev Tool Workspace. We can enable Workspace in Dev Toolbar, so we can directly edit our files in Toolbar or Dev Toolbar. Once you enable, you will get all the CSS and JavaScript or that folder, complete folder in source, and you can directly edit and compile the things from here. HTTP proxy. Okay, this is another thing. I know most of us know what is proxy. Proxy is sits in between our client and server, and we can make use of proxy to route the things, or we can manipulate the header, we can manipulate the path, etc. The whole thing we can change. So why proxy here? We are using Charles Web Proxy. You can use Fiddler also for in this Charles Web Proxy is available in all platforms. Fiddler is for Windows. That's free. So in this particular workflow, once this our CSS and everything given to a programmer or it's in live, then it's very difficult to debug, right? Because uh, our source code is resides in our machine, and once we deployed everything, it's very difficult to debug. In that case, we can use this map root and map local from Charles. So you in Fiddler it's auto response or something, the same thing. So you can map your remote URL and your local URL. So the HTML will come from server, and CSS and scripts you can feed it from our local machine. So that's really helpful to debug and to test. So there's a demo. This is the site in the cloud. So if we check the main.css is there. If I want to check something in the live HTML, we can fire up Charles. And we can enable map route. So it's already enabled. So here you can see all requests from help point. This directory will redirect to this directory. Okay, in my local machine. So if we change something here, suppose once again I have to reload it again. Okay. So it will compile the CSS, the whole CSS when we save that file, and it will create that main.css file. Now, if you check, we we are we are using our CSS, local CSS. So it's a debugging method. Okay, so we saw guidelines and debugging methods. Next is how to set up this front-end environment. We saw this. We saw this earlier slide. Like we have to install so many tools, right? Nodejs, Ruby, things like that. And the one method is we can set up it locally in our machine. We are doing like that. Second thing is virtualization using Vagrant. Vagrant helps to package our environment, and we can deploy it in our machines. Suppose in our company we have Mac users, Windows users, and Linux users. Then installing and configuring all these environments is very difficult. So in that case, we can use Vagrant. Vagrant packages our environment, and we can deploy it using Vagrant app. I will show a demo later. So basically, Vagrant is a virtual machine. We can use VMware or VirtualBox, and once Vagrant is installed in our machine, and we have to also install VMware or VirtualBox also, and install these boxes. These boxes are available in their cloud. Okay, these are all boxes. So we can create our own, or we can use predefined one. This Ubuntu 14. There are many Debian, many packages. So once you install this Vagrant, you can use Vagrant init that box name, and Vagrant app will download and install that box for us. So the whole development configurations, the versions, and everything will be there. Okay, this is the project setup for this Vagrant. There will be a Vagrant file and our project directory. All files will be inside that our project file directory, and the Vagrant file will have that box name and a private IP and other configurations. It's a Ruby file, and once we run this using Vagrant app, it will boot up and run a virtual machine for us. And using Vagrant SSH, we can directly go into that box. So this is the basic idea. Next, the third method is we can use server to set up all these things. This is a base workflow of using Jenkins. We are developers, and we just commit things into code repo, and there will be a build trigger that will trigger the Jenkins script, and it will build the whole thing. Like the script can be anything. The whole build process can be used in the script, and it automatically deploys to our server. Okay, a public will directly access in our server. So finally, in our server, we'll have a optimized assets. like minified, concatenated, image optimized, things will be there. That's all automated. So this is the base workflow of this setup. In this setup, we can't include this JADE or SCSS because that will be we can include, but that will be a difficult process. Why? Because each time we have to see a change, we have to um, up the code. So that's not practical, I guess. Other things like hinting, linding, and uh, minification, image optimization, that kind of stuff can be done through CA, means Jenkins and CA. Okay, so this is another method, and always keep your source code. This is where the problem you mentioned came. You have to keep your front-end code base your own. Otherwise, what will happen? Usually this happens in agency or anywhere. When we will get a PSD, we will convert it, and we will make a template, and we'll give to programmer. And then afterwards, we are working on directly on that, directly with that programmer, and we are directly editing that CSS file, or we are editing into that file. What will happen if the project grows? If the project grows, the style will grow. After a particular period, it is a nightmare to manage that file. So once you set up all this environment, you keep your source code. You keep your source code with you, and you only work with that source code. Use version control for our front end source code. We are doing that. I'll show you that. Okay, demo. Okay, we set up a GitLab instance in our server. So this is all our front-end source code. So once a new member came, he just need to check out the code and npm install the dependencies and fire up the server and just work the project. In normal cases, what will happen? He has to go behind the developer who developed it first, and what he done in that CSS. That always happen. Um, and and what he'll do is, if in amend or something, he'll just go end of that CSS file and write his code. There is no organization. There is no. It's not because that developer is bad. It's very difficult to maintain that kind of code. And even if in our organization we have a standard, even though people will do the same thing, because it's very difficult to go and check where the actual thing is. So always maintain this source code, front-end source code. It should be differ from our actual PHP or .NET or whatever project code. And I will show the Vagrant thing also. MCD into that folder, and Vagrant app. Vagrant app will update that, means initialize that particular box, and it's already running. So I am SSHing. Yeah, I am into that box now. Once. So we have two files in our this project folder. So I am.
So this is the folder in which we are going to set up the environment.
set up the project.
Okay.
This is our project folder.
Okay. It is in that machine. There is a new machine is there, and we are about to set up the project in that machine.
We have to set up the Vagrant and environment VirtualBox. Once we install everything, you only need this file Vagrant. If it's a new project, you can copy this and you can start a new project. Okay. So if you check ls, you will see our HTML and Vagrant file is there. There are Gulp files and everything, so you can do the same thing. Gulp survey, so it will fire up that static server for us, and it will give the local host. But you can access it's a separate machine, right? It's a virtual machine, so you can access it like this. In that case, you can see the IP. So we are mapping this IP, so we can use that IP here. And when you run, you will get the same thing. Same thing. Okay. So what's the benefit of this? If another developer is there in Linux machine, you don't have to install everything in his machine. You just install Vagrant and VirtualBox and this box also. The whole environment will be in that machine. You can just quickly start his project. So this is the use of this is one way to commonize our development workflow. Okay, so we are about to end the presentation, I guess. Yes. Thank you. So, any questions?
So actually, this is the time to ask questions.
Yeah.
And get clarity on all those things, all those new technical terms or anything that you have heard or you didn't get it.
This is actual implementation. So it worked well for us. Actually, I missed a slide. One second. Yeah, what's the benefit of this? Why we are doing like this? Actually, code maintenance, there are tons of benefits. It reduces our headache. Seriously, when amendments and design changes come, it's a burden for us to work on the huge code base. But when you modelize things, or when you create it as a component, then it's really easy for maintain the whole project. It's really time saving, and the multiple developer can easily work on the task. Why? Because there won't be any big conflict or something, because each one is working on separate project, separate component, and consistency will be there, code quality will be there, it avoids duplication and that kind of stuff. So it's really good.
Yeah,
So
as well as
thank you.
it's a lot of time that we spend for human errors. As once we do it manually, we commit a lot of mistakes, and we will spend a lot of time to solve those issues. But when we go for automation, all these things will be handled perfectly. And so it's time for question. So let's go back to have a quick recap on what we had done so far. And you can ask questions from starting.
Yeah,
first
from start you can start.
So it's the first time I'm seeing a very silent community. So no questions? Let's go with, yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
How mapping works?
Source map.
Yeah.
Source map. Okay. Okay, I will demo it once. Okay. Okay. This is our main.scss file. Okay. It contains all this SCSS stuff. So it compiles to main.css. That's the big whole file. If we can directly debug from this file, it's very difficult to debug. So we create a source map. While we are creating a component or we are editing the CSS file, it automatically creates. It's automated. There are tools available to create source map. So source map knows where the original source code is. So it has a mapping like this. So this config contains this much functions and this thing like that. So it will automatically map to our CSS file, the original source code. When you run, the toolbar knows how to use that source map. No, then there won't be any traceability. You will lost. Source, yeah, of course, because we have to include this source map here in our main CSS file like this, as I mentioned earlier. So if it's not there, then you will get a console error, right? So you can check.
So my first question is, how many of you are currently using any of these technologies in your space? Okay, Shiraz. Yeah, very good. Okay. So for others, did you get a basic understanding on where to start? That is that should be the takeaway from this session. You should be understanding where exactly you need to start with this process. And here, Praveen just explained how he implemented it in his workspace, so that we come to know that there are a lot of components. These fall under these places. These are the build tools. This is used in this section, etc. And you can and you know how to set up a. You should be knowing how to set up a local environment and start working on this process. So that type of questions are something to be asked to make sure you'll be able to start with that. And normally we always hesitate to start these type of things because we do not know whom to contact when we are stuck. Okay, right now we will also be sharing the contact details of Praveen. Also, we have a Facebook community where you could ask questions and seek support on that. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So I would like to invite Honey. Please come. He's the operations head of Flip. And so awesome that Flip has a very good workflow for Frontend.
I'm very happy to be here today. I always hear that Praveen conducts like regular session here with you guys in the company. I'm very happy to be here today. Though we didn't attend the whole session, but we're very much aligned with whatever Praveen presented to you guys today. Generally, we're trying to like bring a little bit the standard a little bit up, so just make things to follow the best practices. We highly, I would say, believe in the values of the front-end development, because no matter how much your backend is really strong and technically you're doing a very like magic or miracles, if you don't associate this with a very good front end, which is presentable, user-friendly, easy to navigate, and at the same time, like as the magic word right now is responsive, works across devices, I don't think the client will value this. So yes, front end maybe is like 20 to 30% of the projects that we are doing, but I think it's a presentation that really matters. So it complements the back-end work, but it's complemented in a very good way. So thank you, Praveen. Thank you guys for conducting the session. I think I'm happy to see like more and more sessions like this. I wish we can even just like conduct regular sessions like this even in our office back in Dubai or in our office here even. Thank you, guys.
So, thank you, Praveen. So, no questions? Ask basic questions. Yes, that is what we would need.
So, if I want to start a small project, okay. So basic requirement is UI will be there. I need to connect to a database. I should retrieve data. Okay. So here, what do I need to do? How are you connecting data and getting the data and retrieving the data, or what is the thing are you doing for it? How are you displaying?
Okay. See, this is a total front-end development workflow. So the connecting database and everything that's not part of this thing, unless you are developing a SPA. A single page application or something. You are directly dealing with this client side technologies. If you are dealing with Angular or a Backbone or something, then you have to fetch the data from server and you have to implement these things. But this is actually a side development thing mainly. How you can architect your project and how you can make things. That's why I initially told it's each project is different. The stack we are using for each project is different actually. In some project we are using this client side MVC. In some projects we are not using, and we are creating templates and we are handing over it to the backend team. Okay, so in that case, this workflow really makes sense.
Small example, can you give like anything taken?
Example, like suppose if your company site, that probably no need to build with this Angular or Backbone or something. So unless you are developing a web app, you don't need this kind of front end data binding or something. So in that case, you can use this workflow. Okay, unless you are developing a web app, you can safely use this. If you are developing a web app, even though you can use, but that include client side templating and everything. So this is another approach.
So thing that I want to integrate, like see, there will be something like I want to open a new tab or all this template things you're telling, right?
Okay.
So those things.
See, the way I didn't get the way you understand the thing. This part ends where we give these templates to PHP programmer or .NET developer or who are handling the rest of the part. The functionality is not included in this. We get PSDs or templates and we are converting it into HTML or templates. Okay, and we are handing it over to our programming team. We are dealing that part, that front end part.
Okay. So actually, what currently, as per this workflow, we are detaching the front end team completely from the backend team, and we consider as he will not do any code for backend. He just does the front end, HTML and stuff like that, generate it and ship it to the backend developers. They will take care of the rest. And if there is anything that need to be edited or amended, Praveen still works in his local source code and update it and provide that to them. So
what all you can do, like front end, right? There are many things in the UI. You want to do something like pop-up kind of thing, or there will be many things UI. Forget about the data. I just want to do many things into it. Like how are you doing it? For example,
Okay.
if there are many things like tabs are there and drop down list may be there, or HTML things.
Yeah. Okay. One second. So that's where these components come. This is an coding component. So you can create a component like this, and it will. Uh,
Can you please demonstrate a small thing, if anything?
okay. Okay. One second. So I created a component here. Okay. I'm creating a new page here. One second. So we don't have a test page here. When I save this, a new test page will create. See, with all um, or page styles and everything. So when you check that test page, it will be here with basic stuff, master page. So now we have to include that component. That component included in that block. So that component we can see here. Okay. So We'll create a small accordion. Okay, that's what I guess we can do quickly. Um, this is how we define a JavaScript module. Okay, once we define this JavaScript module like this, we can create, we can require it in our project. So I will record it in main.js because it's easier for a demo. So once you save this file, you can see the Browserify runs. Okay. It create this script for us. Inside that there will be test. Okay, that function is there. When we check, that alert will be there. So if accordion tab, everything we can create as module. So once you click on this, this will show. And so this is the basic idea. This is how a small module will construct. Okay, got it.
Got it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Praveen.
Thank you.
So first of all, actually the way we think about project, it's need to be changed. Normally when we think about a project it has around 50 screens or 100 screens that we need to have to develop. Here it is just like identify the number of layers, then build each component separately and use it wherever required. And once the basement is done, then it will be very easy for you to maintain it as well as to do other things, right? Okay. So any other question? No? And first of all, I would like to thank Praveen for taking time out of his busy schedule and preparing for this. It would surely take a quite bit of effort. Okay. And he came here to explain what exactly he do there. Normally it will be easy for us to implement new things in our workspace, but when we have to explain it to somebody else, it would be really tough. Okay. So that is what he did, and I really appreciate that. And thanks a lot for all of you for coming here. And for the new people who are here, initially you might have got an idea about what Coffee DBG is, right? And it is also about making friends. We have a community in Facebook which is called Techno Geeks. Over 1,000 technology enthusiasts are there in that Facebook group. And I request everyone to be part of that so that we can continue the discussion about this. And if you have any questions, Praveen is also available in that group. And all the slides, photos, videos, everything will be shared there. The session has been live on YouTube, and it will also be posted there in the Facebook group. And if somebody want to join the group, you can just use this barcode. There is one Techno Geeks, so you can just scan it and join the group. Okay. Thank you. See you for next coffee at ABG.